कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nashuprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, the process of devotional service. Text 143 onwards. Ajnane vahe yadi papa upasthita, Krishna tare shuddha kare na karai prayaschita. If, however, a devotee accidentally becomes involved in a sinful activity, Krishna purifies him. He does not have to undergo the regulative form of atonement. Krishna purifies from within as a Chaitya-guru, the spiritual master within the heart. This is described in the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Supadamulam bhajata priyasya tyaktanya bhavasya hari paresha vikarma yaccha utpatitam kathanchid dhunoti sarvam hridi sannivishta. One who has given up everything and taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very dear to Krishna. If he is involved in some sinful activity by accident, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated within everyone's heart, removes his sins without difficulty. So removes his sins and removes his inclination to commit sins also. So whatever Krishna decides, howsoever to remove, or whatever, whether punishment, token punishment, whatever he has to give, Krishna does that. Jnana vairagyati bhaktir kabu nahe anga. Ahimsa yam niyama devule Krishna bhakta sang. The path of speculative knowledge and renunciation is not essential for devotional service. Indeed, good qualities such as non-violence and the control of the mind and senses automatically accompany a devotee of Lord Krishna. Control of mind and senses, it is automatically accompanied. And it's the most important aspect of any yoga. The yogis try to control their mind and senses. They go to the caves or go to the Himalayas, away from any object of sense gratification, meditation, then hopefully mind comes under control. Hopefully, not necessarily. But for devotees, comparatively, it's easy. Sometimes a neophyte devotee or ordinary person thinks highly of speculative knowledge, austerity, penances, and renunciation, thinking them the only path for advancement in devotional service. Actually, this is not a fact. The path of knowledge, mystic yoga, and renunciation has nothing to do with the pure soul. When one is temporarily in the material world, such processes may help a little, but they are not necessary for a pure devotee of Krishna. In the material world, such activities end in material enjoyment or merging into the effulgence of the Supreme. They have nothing to do with the eternal loving service of the Lord. If one abandons speculative knowledge and simply engages in devotion service, he has attained his perfection. The devotee has no need for speculative knowledge, pious activity, or mystic yoga. All these are automatically present when one renders the Lord transcendental loving service. So, knowledge is there, speculative knowledge is not there. So because we need knowledge for bhakti. Not for bhakti, but to develop faith and to preach, we need to have knowledge. And pious activity is already performed when we are performing bhakti. And mystic yoga, one has to, the ultimate aim of mystic yoga is samadhi. A devotee is always thinking of how to serve Krishna. So he's always in samadhi. So he doesn't need to do anything separate. Tasman madbhakti yuktasya yogino vai madatmanaha na jnanam na cha vairagyam praya shreyo bhavedeha. For one who is fully engaged in my devotional service, whose mind is fixed on me in bhakti yoga, neither the path of speculative knowledge nor that of dry renunciation is very beneficial. The path of devotional service is always independent of other activity. The path of speculative knowledge or a mystic yoga may be a little beneficial in the beginning, but neither can be considered part of devotional service. So this verse from Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Krishna when he was speaking to Uddhav before his departure from this material world. There are important instructions given directly by Lord Krishna. Shri Uddhav asked the Lord about the two kinds of instructions given in the Vedas. One instruction is called Pravritti Marg and the other is called Nivritti Marg. These are directions for enjoying the material world according to regulative principles and then giving up the material world for higher spiritual understanding. That is Pravritti Marg, means getting too much into enjoying the material world. Sometimes one does not know whether to practice speculative knowledge and mystic yoga for advancement in spiritual knowledge. Krishna explains to Uddhav that the mechanical processes of speculative knowledge and mystic yoga are not necessary for advancing in devotional service. Devotional service is completely spiritual. It has nothing to do with material things. It is awakened by hearing and chanting the association of devotees. Because devotional service is always transcendental, it has nothing to do with material activity. So, gaining knowledge like Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, they are material activities. So, they cannot help one make advancement in devotional service. Ete nahi adbhuta vyadha tavahim sadhya guna hari bhakto pravrittaye natesyu par tapina. O hunter, good qualities like non-violence, which you have developed, are not very astonishing. For those who are engaged in the Lord's devotion service are never inclined to give pain to others because of envy. So, this is a quotation from Skanda Purana. It was spoken by Narad Muni to the reformed hunter, Mrigari. So, we studied this pastime of Narad Muni with Mrigari. So, Mrigari, the hunter, Mrig Ari. Mrig means animal, or deer also, but it also means animal. And Ari means the enemy. So what he used to do, he would half kill the animals. And when the animals would suffer, he would be very happy seeing them suffering. Somehow, Narad Muni was passing by. And he saw that. He asked, who did this situation? Who made them suffer like this? And Mrigari came with his bow and arrow. He said, oh, I did. Narad Muni said, why do you not kill them fully? Why half kill them? Mrigari said, because this is how I've been trained and this gives me pleasure. Now, Narad Muni, being spiritual master of the world, he said, at least kill them fully, because then you will suffer only for one lifetime. If you leave them like this, suffering, then you have to suffer for a long time. Now, Mrigari, just this kind of momentary or very little association with Narad, his heart started to get transformed. Oh, I have to suffer? I didn't know that. Narad Muni said, yeah, see, you're making them suffer so much. So the reactions, you will get the reaction. Okay, now what to do? I mean, how can I repent and what to do now? So Narad Muni said, okay, if you want to know, first you throw away your bow and arrow and any money that you have earned by this business. So the hunter said, well, then how am I going to survive if I don't have bow and arrow? Narada, do you think Krishna is dependent on your bow and arrow to provide you food? I will send you food. Don't worry. So he developed faith just in this much conversation. And Narada Muni just said, just sit here, make a hut, keep tulsi plant, and chant. I'll send you food. Okay. So he did that. He started that. And when the nearby villagers, they found out that the Mrigari has become a saint, so they started coming to his hut and bringing him all kinds of food. So, see, Krishna takes care. There's nothing impossible for Krishna. And then after a few days, Narad Muni had told his friend Parvat Muni, then let's go see one of my disciples. He's doing some chanting, some tapasya. So Narad Muni came over there with his friend Parvat Muni, and when Mrigari saw Narad, he just jumped up, he came running. But then he saw some ants on the road, on the ground, they were crossing. So very carefully with his cloth, he just removed those ants because he didn't want to step on them and kill them. And he came to Narad Muni and paid obeisances. So much of transformation happened. And that's why it is said, devotion, those who are engaged in the Lord's devotion service are never inclined to give pain to others because of envy. That is, these are the qualities of a devotee, and they start showing themselves, manifesting in the hearts of a devotee once we engage in devotion service. Vedi bhakti sadhanera kahilu vivara raga nuga bhaktira lakshan shun sanat. My dear Sanatan, I have now in detail described devotion service according to the regulative principles. Now hear from me about spontaneous devotion service and its characteristics. रागात्मिका भक्ति मुख्य ब्रजवासी जने तार अनुगत भक्तिर रागानुगा नाम है. The original inhabitants of Vrindavan are attached to Krishna spontaneously in devotional service. So original inhabitant means Yashoda Maya, Nanda Baba, Radharani, Gopis, Sakhas. They are attached to Krishna spontaneously in devotion service. Means this is all they think of, how to take care of Krishna, please Krishna. Nothing can compare to such spontaneous devotion service, which is called Rag Atmika Bhakti. So the original inhabitants, they perform Rag Atmika Bhakti. Atmika, this is in their heart. This is their nature. When a devotee follows in the footsteps of the devotees of Vrindavan, his devotion service is called Raganuga Bhakti. Rag Anuga. Anuga means to follow. So we don't have that Ragatmika Bhakti in our heart. We are trying to develop Raganuga Bhakti. So follow one of the devotees of Vrindavan, whatever our mood is. So in that mood, when we follow and perform bhakti, then that is called Raganuga Bhakti. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami states, when a pure devotee follows the footsteps of a devotee in Vrindavan, he develops Raganuga Bhakti. Ishte swarasiki raga paramavishtata bhavet tanmaya bhaved bhakti satra raga mikodita. When one becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to one's natural inclination to love Him, and is fully absorbed in thoughts of the Lord, that state is called transcendental attachment and devotional service according to that attachment is called ragatmika or spontaneous devotional service. This verse is found in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Ishte Gala Trishna Ragera Swarupa Lakshan. Ishte Avishtata E Tatastha Lakshan. The primary characteristic of spontaneous love is deep attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Absorption in thought of Him is a marginal characteristic. So deep attachment, so that is the primary characteristic. And then because of the deep attachment, one cannot do anything but think of Krishna. So that is marginal characteristic. And think means absorption in thought of Him. Complete absorption. Ragamai bhakti rahe ragatmika na. Taha shuni lubdha hai kon bhagya. Thus, devotional service, which consists of rag, deep attachment, is called ragatmika, spontaneous loving service. If a devotee covets such a position, he is considered to be the most fortunate. लोभे व्रजवासीर भावे करे अनुगति शास्त्र युक्ति नाही माने रागानुगार prakriti. If one follows in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan out of such transcendental covetousness, he does not care for the injunctions or reasonings of Shastra. That is a way of spontaneous love. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that a devotee is attracted by the service of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, namely the cowherd men, Maharaj Nanda, Maharaj Yashoda, Radharani, the gopis and the cows and the calves. An advanced devotee is attracted by the service rendered by an eternal servitor of the Lord. This attraction is called spontaneous attraction. Technically, it's called Swarup Upalabdhi. Swarup means our original constitutional position. Our means the souls. So we develop that attraction according to whatever our constitutional position is. Nobody has to force it. So that is called the Swarup Upalabdhi. And we get attracted by one of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, how they are doing service towards Krishna. This stage is not achieved in the beginning. In the beginning, one has to render service strictly according to the regulative principles set forth by the revealed scriptures and the spiritual master. By continuously rendering service through the process of Adi Bhakti, one's natural inclination is gradually awakened. One's natural inclination is gradually awakened. That is called spontaneous attraction or Raganuga Bhakti. So all we have to do is just carry on with our Vedi Bhakti properly. An advanced devotee situated on the platform of spontaneity is already very expert in Shastric instructions, logic, and argument. When he comes to the point of eternal love for Krishna, no one can deviate him from that position, neither by argument nor by Shastric evidence. An advanced devotee has realized his eternal relationship with the Lord, and consequently, he does not accept the logic and arguments of others. It does not accept means nobody can deviate him. That's all. Such an advanced devotee has nothing to do with the Sahajiya, who manufacture their own way and commit sins by indulging in illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, if not meat eating also. Means this is not sentimentalism. An advanced devotee is on the platform of spontaneity, not not bhavukta, emotionalism. No. Sometimes the Sahajas imitate advanced devotees and live in their own whimsical way, avoiding the principles set down in the revealed scriptures. Unless one follows the six Goswamis, Sri Rupa Sanatan Raghunath Bhatt, Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatt, and Raghunath Das, one cannot be a bona fide, spontaneous lover of Krishna. So, clarifying it, of course, this is for us, Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So, one who does not follow six Goswamis, Shad Goswamis, he cannot be a bona fide, spontaneous lover of Krishna. In this connection, Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Rupa Raghunath Pade Hai Bhe Akti, Kabe Ham Bhujav Se Jugal Piriti. The Sahaja's understanding of the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna is not bona fide because they do not follow the principles laid down by the six Goswamis. Their illicit connection and their imitation of the dress of Rupa Goswami, as well as their avoidance of the prescribed methods of revealed scriptures, will lead them to the lowest regions of hell. These imitative sahajas are cheated and unfortunate. They are not equal to advanced devotees or paramhamsas. Debauchees and paramhamsas are not on the same level. So, huge difference, huge difference. But what happens is these sahajas, they show such an easy path, shortcuts, and people get attracted. Prabhupada has already given us a shortcut. He said, okay, just minimum 16 rounds and you're fine. Although Mahaprabhu laid down the rule of 64 rounds every day. So shortcut is already there. All we have to do is just follow Prabhupada properly. And Prabhupada is following six Goswamis. Virajanatim abhivyaktam vrajvasi janadishu ragatmikam anushruta ya sa raganugochyate. Devotional service and spontaneous love is vividly expressed and manifested by the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Devotional service that accords with their devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti, or devotional service following in the wake of spontaneous loving service. Spontaneous, again and again this word has come, means it's just so natural for a devotee, it just comes out naturally, automatically. That's a way to do bhakti. Of course, not disregarding the rules and regulations, but still, that's how he wants to do, or he or she wants to perform his bhakti. So that is spontaneous. Taddad bhavadi madhurya shrute dhira yad apekshate natra shastram na yuktim cha tallobhotpatti lakshanam. When an advanced realized devotee hears about the affairs of the devotees of Vrindavan, in the mellows of Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, he becomes inclined in one of these ways and his intelligence becomes attracted. Indeed, he begins to covet that particular type of devotion. When such covetousness is awakened, one's intelligence no longer depends on the instructions of Shastra, revealed scripture, or on logic and argument. So this is also from Bhakti Rasamrita. Anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.